Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept the meeting minutes from last meeting.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
The treasurer's report. So,
Thank you. As of January 1st, 2020, we have $3,126.59. We have one incumbent check that will come in January, so the starting balance for the beginning year is $2,883.29. I'll be stepping down as treasurer as January 31st of this year and transferring the accounts and Stoughton Co-op saving banks and paperwork to the new treasurer. Thank
What
you.
was the balance again? $2,800.
$883.29.
Thank you.
That's the incumbent amount.
Yep.
Lester, you said you'll be done as, you're stepping
Well-
down as of the 31st?
Yeah. So,
Because the elections are in March,
well,
April. You can do it.
I think Amanda's almost all set.
All right.
The only thing that has to be, two things that has to be done. We have to make the letter out for Stoughton Co-op of the new treasurer and the current president, taking John's name off the list, and that should do it. Oh, and register with the state, with the e-file.
Is my name still on there too?
Yes, it is.
You have to take me off too.
Okay, so we can discuss after the meeting, so
Mm-hmm.
we can do the letter. Thank you.
Thanks, Lester.
do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. We have, as a guest speaker today, our interim town clerk, who I hope is going to lose the title of interim. Stephanie Carrara.
Yay. Who's gonna, Thank you all for having me today. This is great. I'm just excited when Donna asked me. I come here today just to briefly give an overview of what we do in the town clerk's office and talk about our town census and our federal census. So I am the interim town clerk. Our previous town clerk, Amy Akel, took a position in Ipswich. She was living on the North Shore, and she thought it would be better for her to be a little closer to home, and she's very happy there. And I talk to her on a pretty much weekly basis. We keep in touch and run things by each other, so it's working out well. Yes, in the clerk's office, yes, we are infamous for doing birth certificates and dog licenses. That is a stereotype, I will tell you that. But I will also let you know that in the town clerk's office, we are the keeper of records. So when someone has a Freedom of Information Act, during this conversation, I'll refer to it as what we call a FOIA. And we get a lot. And we have to go down in the archives and do the research. We have to certify the elections, and we will be having a big one this March. We're also gonna have early voting in the end of February, the last week. So you'll be able to come to the town hall, you'll check in at the clerk's office. I'll have poll workers escorting everybody down to the Margaret Fitzpatrick conference room where you can vote, and you'll be able to put it in the black box. And I really, really, really like early voting. I have to tell you, we had over 4,400 people come in our last early voting during the presidential election. And out of the 44 plus people that came, we only had about 3 people that were cranky. And I say that because there was some little bit of bottleneck at the counter. People want birth certificates and these people wanted to vote. But everyone is genuinely happy. They're like, oh, here's my license. And in the state of Massachusetts, we don't have licenses. You don't have to show them, which I will say, I'm a fan of showing the licenses, just because sometimes if we don't understand how to spell someone's last name, we have it. The previous town clerk purchased poll pads, which just came in, which we will be using at early voting at the town clerk's office. We can scan your license in, your name pops up, it'll tell you what party you're in, if you're active or inactive. It is going to cut down the time that people have to wait by a large amount, I will say. And I'm hoping everyone here who's ever running, can get the state to approve the poll pads so we can use them at all precincts. It's just so much more efficient. Yes, we still are gonna have to print out a paper listing of everybody who's who's voting, but the process of getting everybody in and out, I think everyone will be happier about that. In the clerk's office too, there's actually 2 full-timers and 1 part-timer. Right now, because of budget issues, we cannot staff as we want. And I respect the town manager for, her and her budget team of what their plan is. So sometimes we have to extend our deadlines. We've been working after hours, returning phone calls, so if everyone can just kind of bear with us when you call the office. But the budget team has done a great job with the town budget, and we're working really hard to, work as a team with her. And she's a really, really great town manager. The other item that I'd like to talk about is the town census, not to be confused with the federal census. Those will be going out probably last week of January, first week in February. You'll get them, you'll notice that they have a different color to them. You flip it over on the back, there's important dates listed so you know when all the elections are. There'll be a yellow flyer in there for if you have pets and you don't want to come to the town hall, you'll be able to mail them in. You'll be able to, as long as you have a self-addressed stamped envelope, we will send it back to you. There's also going to be, and I brought it with me so everyone would be familiar with it, and it's going to be on a pink paper to talk about the federal census. So some people get confused when they say, well, you just sent it to me. Why do I have to answer this one? The one that will be coming out in April is going to be the federal census. And that is very, very important because that generates money for 10 years for the town. So everybody that answers it, you get, the town will get $2,400 per person for the next 10 years. That will go for elderly, it'll go for the schools, and it'll just Medicare, Medicaid, all that stuff. So it's very, very important that you answer that. Or if you know of anyone that is saying, oh, I don't want them to know my business, you want to say it's confidential. It has nothing to do, there's no names on it. There's no, where you live. There's not a citizenship question on that this year. Because we live in such crazy times right now. We want to make people feel safe. We want them to answer those federal censuses so our town can get money. And our most difficult area to get a count, and they use it during these federal census trainings, is our downtown area. Because there's so many businesses, there's apartments, not condos. People feel that they don't have to put their children on there, and they do. Even though they might not be school age, put your children, or if you know friends who have little children, put them on there because they will be utilizing the school in a couple of years. That money will go for those programs at school. So it's very, very, very important. So this is what it's going to look like. In the front, it's English. And getting involved with the federal census
Where is it?
I have found out that in the town of Stoughton, we have 26 dialects. So,
Wow.
unbelievable. So, we, on the back opted to go for the Portuguese version of this because we do have people from, Brazil, and they'll have a dialect of this, and they'll be able to, read it. So it's just gonna be pink, and the dog paper will be bright yellow. And so, we get questions like this all the time on our phone. So if our phones are backed up, please call back, email us. We will be able to get to everybody. Might not be instantaneously, might have to wait 24 hours or 48 hours, but we will get back to you. If any of you have, or anyone that you know have Freedom of Information Act questions that they need, please. We acknowledge them right away. Sometimes we do have to go down in the archives, which I call the belly of the town hall. And we will research it. And if we don't have it, we will let that person know, and we will try to advise them where they can get that information. Because that's very important. If we don't have something, to use a birth certificate as how can I put it? I'll use the birth certificates to give this example. Sometimes people say, I got my birth certificate here. I know I was born at Goddard Hospital, and we don't have it. We call over to a neighboring town, they'll have it. If they don't have it, we will refer them to the Registry of Vital Statistics in Boston, and they have everybody's in the world, born in the state of Massachusetts. They have their birth certificate. They don't like going into Dorchester, but we cannot get it for them. And not everything is on computers, just so you know. A lot of people think, well, can't you just look it up on the computer? We can't. Because legally, when you are the keeper of the records, the state requires that you keep paper records. Everyone thinks everything with this digital age that we're in, everything's on computer, and no go. So, lastly, I just want to mention about ranked choice voting. As a town clerk, I have to be honest, I'm not for that. When I took a class on it at a past conference last year, and these people from down south came up and said, this is going to be so innovative, it's going to be great, you're going to love it. People down south don't do their elections, the county does it. City and town clerks do not do their elections. So it would be like Norfolk County doing it, and the town clerks are, they're the keeper of the records, but they don't certify the elections. Sometimes when, I think it was Florida or down south, I can't quite remember which state, they had to do a recount, and there's just people taking the ballots and doing the counting, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, where's the police officer? Where is this? And it's just how the southern states do it and how we do it, total different animals. So I'm not for ranked choice voting, and the reason why is because ranked choice voting is, you get 5 people run, you get first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, fifth choice, and then, okay, I might like Robin, so she's gonna be my first choice. But I might like Dolores too, so I'll make her my second choice. So if Robin doesn't get it, I know Dolores is gonna get it. And if these two don't get it, then Donna's gonna get it, depending upon my vote. And how it was explained to us in this meeting from people that were down, I think from the Carolinas, they said to us, no, it's gonna be great, they're doing it in Maine.
Yeah.
Okay, which is great, Maine, our neighboring New England state. I got up and said, okay, we have Massachusetts, pretty dense, very populated state. Maine, huge. You have people, maybe to, I don't know, Bangor, then you have woods, you have caribou, and then you have Canada. So it's like, yeah, it's gonna work out for them, because they might, a larger state, but we have more dense. And I'm not for it. I wish the League of Women Voters did more research on it. I wish they talked to city and town clerks Because our foundation in the clerk world, we all have the same foundation. However, we all do things a little differently. And when you go to certification classes, you learn from each person and you try to develop your own system. So when they said that, they were like, oh, you're all wet. Well, the town clerk, who's a good friend of mine in Concord, Kari Tari, she did the research on it after I said that. And in the meeting, she stood up and she said, Stephanie's right. The populations and their system of doing things is different because it's just, we have much more populated cities and towns. Yeah, and like I said, we said we have that now. We put who we vote and top dog wins. So it's new. If it goes through, of course, we city and town clerks are gonna adapt to it. We're going to do it. It's being, a pilot, ranked choice voting is being done, I believe, in East Hampton with town clerk Barbara LaBombard. Very nice woman. She's very big in the Massachusetts Town Clerks Association, but so they're trying it out there and a few other cities and towns out in the western part of the state. But that's just me, so I'm gonna advocate that perhaps you really think about that when you go vote when that comes up. But I'm just not for it. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Mr. Rose.
Early voting for the town.
Yep.
Do we have early voting in April?
Not for local elections, only state elections. And for the primary in September, we will not be having early voting. And I think that's because it's like, they would have to have it the last week of August, and I think the turnout might be really low. People last week's vacation, getting ready for school, that type of stuff. So I'm gonna say they're not ready to have it for local. I would love it if they just had it all the time for every election, because people get confused, and that's just the nature of the beast, but not for local elections and not for the September primary.
I was all for the early voting until I went to vote, and I did the early voting. And when I go to the poll, and I put my card in, and the machine grabs it, and I can see the little count, it's counted my vote.
Yeah?
Now, when I went to the town hall, I gave them the vote, and they just put them in a pile, behind
When
the
was this?
desk or something.
Were you there last time? Because
Yeah.
we had two women sitting in the,
But they
and-
didn't have, there was no little square
no,
machine that took your.
the last early
thing.
voting that we had, the Fitzpatrick room holds 30 people, so we set up the booths, the tables are removed, we had a table, we had 2 workers there, we had 2 black boxes, and, they put them in the black box. There won't be a machine there because you put it in a sealed envelope and you put it in the black box. So I'm not quite sure, but that's how I did it. I don't recall how the previous town clerk did it, but I can look into that. But I can assure you that I'm at the helm, and there will be 2 women, and there will be black boxes, and the envelopes will be going into the black boxes, and then when they come out of the black boxes to be stored in our vault, which will be locked, they will be escorted with a police officer that will come, watch us put them in the vault, lock them up, and then there'll be new black boxes, because they get filled quickly when you have them in the.
So, but there won't be the machine that's. what I
No,
should
the
say.
state won't let us do it like that. In
Yeah.
early voting, you have to fill out the envelope, do your ballot, we have glue sticks, you glue it shut, and you put it in the black box. So I'm not quite sure on that one, but I can look into that.
Are you talking about 2016 or 2018?
When I voted for Hillary.
Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, but on primary day, the clerk's office takes those ballots out and then feeds it into the machine on primary
Yes,
day to make sure that
yes,
it's
we,
counted.
what we do is.
It does go into the machine, but they save it until
Yeah.
primary, or until the election day to put it in.
What happens is, you should be a poll worker. You should come work with me, and then you can see how it all works.
I wouldn't give the Republicans a ballot,
You can come and work for my campaign.
Yes, Yes, sir.
Are we able to mail our ballots in?
Yes, you can still request an absentee ballot, you can still request an early voting ballot by mail. I have people overseas, I email them ballots, and they sign a paper saying that it's okay that we see how they voted when it gets emailed back. The state is very progressive in making sure that everyone can vote. However, you can vote at the polls, you can early vote, you can absentee vote. I have a lot of snowbirds, so they're in Florida, so I'll send them they send me a letter saying, please send me my ballot at this address. We put all the envelopes together, the ballot, the instructions, and we mail it to Florida. They'll be able to mail it back to us. So however you wanna do it, you can.
I know some people who are unable to walk easily,
Yeah,
but they're going to be present in the state
yeah,
on the day of election. Can they still vote absentee?
yes.
Because
And-
some states don't allow that.
No, state of Massachusetts allows them to vote, and also, what I try to tell my seniors is, if you're unable, like if you're on a walker, and you can't get out, have your doctor send us a letter saying that, you know, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith isn't allowed, cannot walk, and cannot go to the polls. Please, send them an absentee ballot. And what I do is I put them on a permanent list. So every year I send them out the forms, they sign it, and then we mail them their Democratic or Republican ballot, whichever they prefer. They have to tell us which ballot they want, and they have to tell us that in writing, and we mail it out.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Can you talk about the automatic voter registration that's happening next year, and if that's gonna affect you or the town?
Well, right now, you used to be able, when you go to the registry, you'd be able to register to vote, and then it comes through us through the state system, and we would register the voters. Now, they're changing that, so like, if you were Republican and you wanted to go to Democrat, that's still on their form, but it's not being processed that way. There's a new letter out that says you have to come to the town hall, or you have to go online and register or change your party, and then we get notification of it. There's been so many duplicates. I'm actually going to a seminar on this in February, so I'll have more information. We just got an email saying that people weren't gonna be allowed to change from one party to the next at the registry. And a lot of people do that, you know, but you have to remember, there's 26 parties in the state of Massachusetts, 26, one being the pizza party. Which is true.
No joke.
No
The
joke.
pirate party.
Yeah, the pirate party, pizza party is,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
Going for their endorsement?
Yeah.
People really run on a ballot as like, I'm the candidate for the Pirate Party?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
They-
there's 26.
They do well in Sweden, actually. They're basically about intellectual property.
Oh, so it really is a,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, no,
oh,
it's a real
I thought-
thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like, you know,
So-
pirate,
If you're an independent
What, do you remember her
person,
name?
which we
I knew
used to
a
be,
Yeah,
if
she
you
ran
didn't want
against
a
Denise
party,
Brown.
what happens is that they change that now to unenrolled because there is an independent party. So people say, well, I'm independent. Do you wanna pick a party when you go to the primary, or do you wanna be independent? Well, I wanna pick a party. Okay, then you're unenrolled. So I think that's where a lot of the problem is coming when you register at the registry, in my opinion. It's just, you know, I didn't pick that, I'm independent. No, you got to be unenrolled. And we go through that a lot. And that's okay, because, again, there's 26 parties. And it's just, it's difficult on the people, because we've all grown up with independent. You know, but now it's a party, so, yes.
Well, I just want to comment that I am probably the #1 fan of the Stephanie Carrara fan club. Because every time I've gone in there with a problem, and there have been some, she's been there to help me and straighten it out. And if she can't tell me right then and there, she'll call me back right away. And I work at the polls now. We had one lady who came in, pulled a libertarian ballot and wanted to vote for one Republican and one Democrat and wanted it to count. and absolutely wouldn't comprehend that, no, it's gonna count on the libertarians, like throwing your vote away. And Stephanie helped me with that.
Yeah,
There were crazy people at the polls.
and I do want you to come. You'll straighten them right out. Yes, Elaine.
What's the date in March?
March 3rd.
Third,
So,
Tuesday.
yeah, so how it would be March 3rd for presidential primary, April 7th for the local election, September 1st for the state primary, November 3rd for the presidential primary, election, excuse me. So,
And I will tell you, it's fun working at the polls.
Yeah.
Just sign up. It's interesting. It really is.
and every year I say this, I'm trying like heck to get poll workers more money, but sometimes budgetary things in the town just don't allow me to. But I am working really, really hard on it. Yes, it's a long day, and I know that. However, to bribe everybody, I bring coffee, donuts, and muffins for, around 10 o'clock for a snack. You get an hour for lunch, you get 2 15-minute breaks, and you get time off to vote. And as long as you work with your warden and say, geez, can I vote on my lunch, and I'll be back at this time, and the warden okays it, you're good to go. So, and then around 4 o'clock, I start bringing in sandwiches. And what I do is I go to D'Angelo's, I get those Great Divide sandwiches, all different kinds. I have them mix them up, and I physically deliver them myself to the polls, especially on presidential primaries and presidential elections, because it's just too busy to have the poll worker come and get, pick it up. Maybe on the slower election, I might do that, but 9 times out of 10, I don't, because then I'm at the polls, and if there's an issue or something came up, I'm right there. My goal, if I get to be town clerk, is to have one polling location, and that would be at the new high school. And I've already started to talk to Dr. Marcus about it, and mentioned this to the town manager. So it's in the early stages. It will not happen this year, because there's still construction at the high school. There's not a real traffic plan, but I have been doing all my research on different cities and towns that have one polling location, and they can have the 10 precincts, and then the city and town clerk can be there if there's a problem. You can address it right then and there. You don't have to call and say, okay, I'll be there in a minute, and make the voter wait. My goal is to have it in one spot, have the voter be able to do their voting, get in, get out, and move on, and I'll be there. And then the assistant can be at the office, assisting the customers that need the Freedom of Information Act, that need research, genealogy, birth certificates, dog tags, whatever we offer in that office. Because I always say this about any city or town hall office. We don't run the town, we make the town run, because everybody comes to us for everything. From where is the restroom to, how do I find this out? What department do I go to? The phone calls all come into us, we transfer them out. We are the hub of the town hall. A great man once told me that. So, I hope that if you want to be a poll worker, please come see me. Elaine's my poll worker. She threatens every year she wants to retire. I say no. But she is one of my favorites. And I just, we pay checkers $130. It's a flat fee. You will get a W-2 at the end of the year. And just so you know, the state only takes out what they have to take out, which I believe is like Medicare or, something. It's like $1 something. So you end up getting a check for $128 and change. If you're a clerk, which is like an assistant warden, that's $140. Wardens are $160. I try to start everybody out as a checker so that they can kind of get a feel for it, and if they like it, they want to stay as a checker, that's fine. If they want to move up to a clerk and then eventually a warden, that's fine too. So anybody else that has any other questions?
Do you have any idea of what your estimated turnout is for the presidential primary?
We had a really good turnout the last time. It was high. It was really high. We had like 4,400 that came into the town hall, a little over that. check with me on Tuesday and I'll have that answer for you. But seriously, if you have any questions on anything, call my office, and if we don't have the answer, or if it's not our department, we will connect you to the proper department. Thank you all so much for letting me come today.
Hi.
One quick question.
Yeah.
The flyer, the pink flyer,
Yep,
can we share that on social media?
you can, yeah. I was gonna, put it up on the town website.
Okay.
Both
And then
that?
I can just,
Yeah,
okay, because I think a lot of people would wanna know that.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think there's a lack of understanding on how that works, especially the way things are going now.
Yep.
And for me, I didn't know. If that's something I knew, I would have completed it a long time ago.
yeah,
And I know a lot of people, you know, have their children in after-school programs and in programs that they're seeking for.
yeah.
But by investing in your community, these are some of the incentives that you can get. I think a lot of people would want to do it.
Yeah, and just to touch on what she's saying, I've been working with Pat Basler, the library director, and also two women who work in her adult literacy program. And we're coming up with ideas. We had our kickoff this past Thursday. And so anyone that wants to get involved with that, our next meeting is January 30th and at 6 o'clock in the library. And what we're trying to do is Pat has Chromebooks, and we're thinking about seeing if we can get into the senior center and have seniors sit with we sit with the seniors and say, this is what you know to do. We can't tell you how to fill it out, but if you say, well, I make $1 million and I'm gonna hit, how do I tell them that? We can say, well, you hit that button. We can't tell them how to fill it out, but we could, if we have to do somewhat of assisting, we can say, oh, yeah, you gotta hit that button.
Stephanie, you wanna mention about people receiving their federal number in the mail for the federal census?
Yeah, I'm not sure when that's coming out. I know that Ray Bennett, the gentleman that was at the kickoff meeting, I kinda got there late, so he might have mentioned that.
He said March.
Did he say March? Robin was there, cause I come in late. So that'll be coming out, and I think, the federal census is coming out in April.
Cause people have to remember not to throw it out thinking, well, I already did the census.
Right, that's why too, on our census that we're sending out, end of January, beginning of February, it will say, this is not the federal census, this is the local census, and that's right at the bottom. And, we really cleaned up the census, the local census, as I call it, this year. It's so much easier to read. There's a place where if someone moved out, you can fill it out at the bottom. It's just, I really like this vendor that we went with, and I think it'll be really, really easy for everyone to get that. So again,
I'm sorry.
No.
Just one question. So with the federal form, I know Stoughton is split in half with the districts.
Yep.
Now, is it the other, like, towns such as Avon and Canton, would they be able to complete that form as well?
it'll be online. You'll be
Okay.
able to go up online, and actually, let's see if I brought it. This is a sample, so it has, we had to put it on pink paper, but if you look, this is what will be in our census, and if you look at it, it says learn more, and then it has the website for the 2020 census.
Okay.
So you'll be able to go on, you can do it online, you can mail it in. We're thinking about maybe getting to, see if we can talk to the schools to see if maybe how we can help the parents fill them out at the schools, maybe do a fun day, do something, see if we can have a fun day at the library, do some face painting or something, and so people can come in and we can say, okay, just fill this out, it's $2,400 for your child and, you know, everybody who's on that for the next 10 years. So if you want, if you can come in on Thursday at the town hall, and I have some other material I can
Okay.
show you. And try to come to our other meeting on 6 o'clock on January 30th.
I plan on being there.
Oh, great.
I just had a question about is there an effort to do outreach on maybe some underserved communities
Yes.
and like
Yeah.
maybe hospitals too, or people
We're thinking about nursing homes, well, we don't have any hospitals in Stoughton,
Well,
so,
like,
yeah.
urgent care. Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, I was just, this is on the top of my mind because I was just reading an article about people who tend to be underserved in other areas are also underserved in healthcare, obviously.
Yeah.
And so they utilize like urgent care as primary care a lot of times. And so
We're gonna look into maybe putting flyers at those places, like
Yeah.
just something like this so people know. We also reached out to clergy, the local pastors, the rabbis, and see if we can get together maybe, and they can tell their church communities or their congregations, sorry, I lost my train of thought, on, listen, this is coming out, please be aware, that type of stuff. But some people get a little funky when it comes to church and state.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mentioned that, and then they said, well, maybe it could be after the services. So I don't know what we're gonna do on that, but we were thinking about seeing if we could put flyers.
and the Brazilian like community.
Yeah,
is
we were
trying to-
thinking about having former selectman Tony Souza go on Bapo Shirley to let the Portuguese and Brazilian community know about that. So it's all in the works, but we, like I said, we just had the first meeting, so we have all those written down. But we're trying our best.
Okay, I think we have to go on
Yep.
with our agenda. Stephanie, that was wonderful.
If anyone has any questions, please come see me at the town hall. Be more than glad to help anybody out. Thank you. I can't help you today.
Take a few minutes to, we have some guests with us today who are running for office. And if they could introduce themselves, what district are they from, no speeches.
Why don't we start over there, Pat?
Good morning, thank you for having me today. My name is Patrick McDermott, I'm your Register of Probate for Norfolk County. I'm gonna be running, I'm not running for a fourth term this year. I've decided to shift over and run the vacant seat of Michael Bellotti in the Norfolk County Sheriff's seat. So thank you for having me, I'm sure I'll be back to have more discussions on that topic in future events.
Very good.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Flowers. I'm running for state representative of the 8th Norfolk District, which includes all of Sharon, and half of Stoughton, precincts 2, 3, 4, and 6, as well as 2 precincts in Walpole, where I live, and 1 precinct in Mansfield. Thank you.
Wonderful,
Glad to be back here.
Good morning, Ted Phillips, also running for the 8th Norfolk District, Stoughton 2, 3, 4, 6. I am the current legislative aide to Lou Kafka, and I'm asking for the promotion to the big chair.
Jared.
You all know me, but I'm Jared Rose, running for state senate.
Thank you very much.
And
Oh, one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. I'm running for 6th Norfolk County, 6th Norfolk District, which covers Stoughton 1, 5, 7, and 8 precinct.
And your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Tamisha Civil,
What are you running?
for state rep,
Oh, okay.
Good,
and
thank
it
you,
also
I-
covers Avon and Canton,
Right,
so that's.
I
that one.
apologize.
It's okay.
Okay, we're gonna elect new co-chairs. Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, since the passing of John Caven, who we all miss, I stepped in temporarily to keep things going. And we announced a month ago that we would be having elections for a new chair or co-chairs today. So I am opening nominations for chair of the Stoughton Democratic Town Committee. Do I hear any nominations? Ann,
I would like to nominate Michael Haran.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Michael, you are nominated. Do we have a nomination for a co-chair?
Nominate Alicia? Yeah, yes.
Do I hear a second for nominating Alicia?
Second.
Okay. Do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Alicia, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta write your names down. So I can say I passed it. I thought they had a. Okay, so we have 2 candidates to run for chair. Mike Haran, and Alicia Rinaldi. All right, can we do this by acclamation?
Yes.
Everyone?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I have ballots if we need them. Okay, can I hear a vote on the nomination of Michael Haran for one of the chairs of the committee? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, not in favor, say nay. Okay, congratulations. I'm so glad you're taking it. And as co-chair, we have Alicia Rinaldi nominated. Can I hear ayes for the nomination of Alicia Rinaldi?
Aye.
Those opposed? Very good, you have it, congratulations. Okay, it's yours.
There you go.
You get the tracking people, the notices, putting the meeting notices out.
Hey, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. I have another nomination. We want to do that today?
Do you want to do that today?
Yes.
Yeah.
If,
That's up to
He's gonna
Mike.
leave before then, we should.
Yeah, okay.
So, that's my first official act. As we heard, Lester is going to be stepping down as treasurer, so we're going to need a new treasurer. And I believe we have someone willing to step up who already knows what she's doing. So if we have any nominations for treasurer, I'll hear them now.
I nominate Amanda Green.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I assume we can also do this by acclamation?
Yes, we can.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, Amanda.
I'm Bill Sadler, and this is Susan Monroe. We have been to a couple of meetings. I'm requesting, as a non-member yet, if we can become members.
Yes, you can.
So, how does that happen?
Just like that?
No, we're gonna, it's gonna get formal. Alicia, you wanna take this one?
Absolutely, so, on your second meeting, you are eligible,
And it's the second meeting.
and this is your second meeting, I believe.
Third.
Third.
Excellent.
Okay.
Oh, Christmas party might not count.
Well, either way, you're over the threshold.
Okay, give us your names again.
Bill Sadler,
S-A-D-L-E-R, and
Susan Monroe, M-O-N-R-O-E. We're married, but I was too old to change my name.
welcome aboard as associate. Oh, we have to take a vote.
Yes.
All those in favor of Bill Sadler and Susan Monroe as associate members, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Welcome
Well,
aboard.
that was easy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we just moved here from Pennsylvania, and we were very active in the Democratic Party in Pittsburgh. And it's way more complex in Pittsburgh than it is here. We're just going, wow, this is so much smoother. Woo, thank you.
But we're very welcoming of people.
I
We have
see.
associate members, and then when there's an opening, you can move up to being a full member. But you have to come again if you want to be a full member.
You mean one more time? We have to
coming
back.
come. We'll see you.
But if you're voted in on the ballot, you're in anyway, so.
The only difference is like endorsements, right? Voting for endorsements between the two.
Right. There's some votes that an associate member doesn't do.
Do we have all your contact information?
You do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Donna does. Because we've been.
Well, I'm off it, I'm off the.
Okay.
Wait, Robin bailed me out with the
Okay. Oh,
computers
great.
one
That'll work
time.
then.
Do you have any other new people who qualify or may be interested as associate members? Many other people.
No, you've been here. Do you want to be an associate member? Wait, okay.
If there's anybody else looking for membership,
Can I be an associate?
You'd come back in as
You
a
can
full
come
member.
back as a full
You're
member.
on, you're on, okay, on the presidential primary vote on March 3rd, anyone who signed up on the list to be on the Democratic Town Committee, you will be the new core members, all right? Then, because of John's passing, usually I used to run around to everybody, didn't get a chance to do that because things were so fast. He died the, 24th or something like that, and the papers were due in November 3rd. So we got who we can. We can vote anyone else back in as a member at the meeting after that. All right? But you were a member here for so many years. You can just be voted back in as a member now. You want to be voted in as a member?
Make it official.
Yeah.
Were you on the 20-year list?
I think, I'm concerned about my temporary residence. Does that impact?
Where are you, in Stoughton or
Sharon.
Sharon?
Yeah.
No, can't take you.
That's what I thought.
But we welcome you to all our meetings.
Get me back here. Get me here.
If only there was a realtor.
What?
Just saying. Good looking out, Alicia.
If there's anyone that needs a flyer that has the information on the caucus, there's some on the table here.
Could I say? Okay. If there's anyone interested in making calls for Elizabeth Warren, I have some information on that, and you can speak to me after.
So this, the chair of this committee gets to appoint somebody to the board of registrars for the town. That was me. John appointed me to it. I had to resign because I'm running for office. So Mike has a new opening for that position. So if anyone wants to be on the board of registrars,
Can you give us a 20-second description of what it entails?
well, I literally did nothing.
Yeah, that's what I.
So what you really do is swear to God, you go in, you sign a paper saying that Stephanie can use your signature on a stamp, and then she stamps all your signatures on everything, and at the end you get a stamp of your signature, which is kind of helpful when you have to resign. In theory, you're really there mostly in case there's a problem with an election or like a recount or whatever. Then in that case, you come in and like help oversee that recount process with the town clerk. That's the point of it. For the most part, you don't really have much of another role. So you're just kind of there to be helpful to particularly somebody.
Anybody interested in the position and the pre-rubber stamp?
I think I need one.
There's a hand behind you. There's a hand behind you.
Oh, and somebody else in.
Oh, now he's.
Let me go in order. So, who's nominating? You're nominating Robin? We have Robin Zoll.
Lester.
Lester.
Lester, yeah.
You're nominating yourself?
No,
Nominating Don.
Wait, wasn't it John's nominating Lester?
Only if we get.
Oh, Don's nominating Lester?
She wants to have a stamp.
He
No,
thought
I have
Lester
to.
was nominating John.
I was there before Jared, except we did nothing also. I know in theory there's stuff we're supposed to do.
Yeah, there is. Like
when they do the precincting, that's supposed to be, he's supposed to be involved in that, but
the actual,
didn't allow it.
if you actually want to be involved in stuff, like the town clerk cannot force you to like
Right.
to
A lot of
not be
places
involved.
it's not done that way.
Right, exactly, because you can come in, you can sign all the things on a regular basis, so they don't have to they can't force you to be just a stamp. But depends
Amy
on your.
didn't really allow it.
Yeah, it depends on
Amy
your.
was not
It depends on your own schedule too.
Amy was a control freak.
Because when they did re-precincting, after the last federal census, she just took the state numbers and never looked at them, basically, these were it. And I think, Jean, isn't there supposed to be some involvement by the registrars in the re-precincting?
Well, I don't know if they changed the law, but.
When you were.
town
Yeah.
clerk.
Yeah, but I've been out for a long time.
No, I know that.
Actually, there's no, the town clerk is responsible for doing it, so. The idea would be to, or the best idea is to have a small committee that helps you with the process. But what's happened in the last few years is everything's been going to the state, and the state's been doing the redistrict. Well, the state doesn't live in Stoughton.
That's it.
And
People are across the street from, it's not just Stoughton, because my son's across the street
Right,
from
no,
Bowling Place.
I understand
And
that.
votes 20 minutes away.
Yep, I understand that, but anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I
It is-
think that
It is technically
it
your
should be
appointment.
tweaked, but.
Oh, it's an appointment by you.
Yeah, it's not a vote by us.
Yeah.
Well-
It's just, it's up to, I mean, I'm just telling you what the,
No,
what the law
truthfully, I have a lot
says.
Well, do both of the people nominated want to proceed with the nomination?
If Don wants it, he can have it. I have a lot.
It's not me, it's Lester.
Oh, you can put both names in a thing,
You
and
gotta
just pick
reverse
one,
it.
'cause they're both, you know, great, great, you know.
That is true, we got two very
Yeah,
active,
you know.
very good people who both
Yeah.
deserve the rubber stamp.
Yeah.
Well, I can get my rubber stamp because I was.
That's Jared.
It's all moving to your house.
Oh, really?
Excuse me, please.
Between the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you feel you've got a relatively full plate
Yeah.
and you'd like to do this at some point in the future,
Yeah.
we would accept that, but although if you do want it, we would certainly consider,
No,
continue to
no,
consider
no.
the appointment.
No.
Okay. So then, should we then appoint Lester?
Okay, thank you.
We're good?
We're
Okay,
good.
congratulations, Lester. Thanks for taking this on. You're gonna be up next on this, you're gonna get your stamp someday.
She already has it. Yeah.
I got it, but I was registered before Jared.
Stephanie will
Yeah.
give it to you now.
Yeah.
Everybody
What's-her-face
gets a
wasn't
turn
giving
with the
it to
rubber
anyone,
stamp.
but she's like, why do I have to keep it?
Hey, what I liked was that I got to sign my name with diplomas. That was a good feeling.
Okay, do we have any old business? What happened to Dawn?
She went to get a coffee.
Okay.
Yep.
Donna, we're gonna do old business? You wanna,
Old business.
speak to the, caucus?
For the caucus? Well, can I have one of those over there, please? Okay, you will be getting email notices from Mike or Alicia about the caucus. Thank God it's not me. No, Robin was over at least once a week to get me through putting the names on, please. The caucus is on Saturday, February 29th. It's at the Stoughton Public Library. The doors open at 9:30 and the caucus is at 10. That means Mike and Alicia can start going through all the materials you have to read beforehand. Then at 10:15, the caucus process has to begin. All right? You must be present at this year's caucus to run as a delegate. In off years, which are like non-election years, you can submit a letter saying that you want to be a delegate even if you can't be at the caucus. This year, you have to be at the caucus. And the convention is on Saturday, May 30th at the Songus Arena in Lowell. So, the other thing that's going on that I'm staying out of is the nomination of candidates or delegates to go to the national convention in Wisconsin. And all that material, it's about 56 pages, is online at the massdems.org site. So we are in Lynch's district. The schedules for when that's gonna meet and where is online. And I think we have one more woman than man this year. And the delegates alternate man, woman, by, alternating alternating congressional districts. Two changes to the state convention for delegates this year. When I explain this to chairs, they go, what? 16 and 17-year-olds who are pre-registered can vote at the caucus and be delegates to the convention. Okay, everyone's, but they're not voters, and it's been a long battle with chairs. The other one is there is a new designation of someone who does not identify as being either male or female, and it's called a non-binary designation. And the state committee promised they would send out information on exactly how you run an election with that. I'm still waiting for it. Have you gotten anything from them?
No, but I think I can sort of untangle from what I've heard and seen from
No.
state committee. It's slightly, it's not as complicated as I think
No.
it sounded at the state committee meeting, when everybody has to go up and make a speech about it.
Yep.
It's a little more streamlined. It's a good thing ultimately too. Says something about our party.
Yeah.
But I think it's whatever that person says they are. You know,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just a
that's
question of how
if
that
they-
seat gets
If
allocated
they
and
don't
how many of those seats.
identify as either
Right.
one, and then that's how it should be, end of story, nobody needs to know anything else.
Because someone on the state committee read that you have to have a non-binary on it. No.
Right, that's
No.
it, yeah.
It was a little confusing the way they presented it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone in here identifies themselves as non-binary, but if we don't have that, then does that seat go to someone else?
You have your election for males, you have your election for females. Someone who is non-binary can enter one of those two elections as non-binary.
Okay.
Okay, that was established at a state committee when, do you remember who from Cambridge first ran as a female and then turned around and ran as a male? And Jimmy Roosevelt had to give a designation, you only get one bite at the apple?
Right.
Maybe that was before you were on, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah. So, they get to choose which one they wanna run in as a non-binary, they do not get to run in both. So, any other questions? And it is an endorsing convention, so. Okay. No questions? Any other questions about state committee? We have our next meeting Thursday night out Worcester North High School.
The only endorsement would be US Senate, right?
Mm-hmm.
For statewide.
Yeah. Constitutional offices are in 2 years.
Right.
So. And we are doing the electronic voting again with the same company that's failed 5 years in a row.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. So it will be electronic and paper balloting. And I'll be there with my little strip of tape down there.
Well, me
Oh,
next to you with the computer.
I was objected to about that, because I was told I was making it look like a crime scene, because I had yellow ribbon.
Well, there's something about your whole approach there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember they took the ribbon down and everything
Yeah.
after that.
Pick a different color.
Ridiculous, yeah.
I did, I got blue.
That'll remind them of something, yeah. Sam?
There's only one, clarification, only one position being contested, that's the US Senate. Am I
That's
correct?
it.
Yeah.
If you saw, one of the candidates dropped out this week.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much down to two
Two.
now.
Yeah.
But it is a great way to meet all the candidates for everything else. Too. Like all your congressional candidates will be there, everybody. So.
Any other new business?
I'll just mention that in the coming months, I'm going to be presenting some charter change proposals, charter review change proposals, such as the term, when terms start or end for town officials, or the size of the finance committee. I'm presenting it through here rather than charter review committee, because I will be leaving the charter review committee, because they're changing the charter which would essentially eliminate my position from from there, long story short, so over the next few months, I will be presenting petitions, which I will present either through the selectmen or directly to the committee as an outsider at that point.
Oh, a couple of things I want to mention. League of Women Voters is having, this will all be, is having a candidates night for the town election on Monday night, March 23rd at Town Hall. And we're also doing a presentation, I believe it's April 4th. We're starting to come together about studying different types of town governments, you know, whether we're doing it, it's the combined league, which is Sharon and Stoughton. They have an open town meeting, you know, so, you know, looking at a town manager, town council, or a mayor, or whatever, or staying with what we have, but just to look at the different types of town governments.
Where is this?
This is going to be at the Stoughton Public Library. I believe it's April 4th.
What time?
April 2nd, sorry, April 2nd at 7 o'clock. And the other thing we're gonna be doing, which is a little further down, is on Monday night, June 15th, we're doing something on women in politics. Because this is the centennial of the League of Women Voters. We were born on Valentine's Day, 1920. And that was, I think it was August of 1920 when women finally received the vote. So we're celebrating that.
Did you say June 15th?
June 15th, yes.
Thank you.
So,
Mark?
I just wanted to let people know, if you don't know already, that on this Monday, there's Martin Luther King events here in Stoughton. There's an interfaith service that begins at 10:30, and then the plan is, depending on weather, for there to be a peace procession from there to the high school, and then there's a program at the high school from noon till about 2.
So where's the service?
The service is at Immaculate Conception Church. So that's supported by it's all part of the Stoughton Clergy Association and the Stoughton Diversity and Inclusion Organization.
Thanks, Larry. Anything else? Anyone else? Any other new business?
Stan, just asking, what's happening in the town? Are you in favor of the charter committee reform or not, or what do you?
Actually, what I was proposing is just specific changes to the current charter, which could be done by the Charter Review Committee. However, I will be leaving the committee before it gets to those points in the charter. So, in order to make proposals, I'm going to be asking for signatures in order to have enough signatures to get on the annual town meeting for the following year. And it will have to be reviewed by the Charter Review Committee, but that way we can have some input without somebody being on the committee. As far as charter changes, that as being presented by the panel, that obviously, if we wanted to go to a mayor council or manager council type format, we would have to have a charter commission, and that would have to be voted, initially voted by the town voters to even consider it, and then any and all options, and then finally voted once the commission came up with a recommendation for a final vote. So that's quite a bit of time away.
Any other new business?
I just wanted to ask, for anyone involved in any campaigns, if anyone knows of any campaign opportunities, volunteering efforts going on, coming up that they just want to share with the group. I know that there's some work with Elizabeth Warren, but there may be other candidates as well, yes.
The National Committee is looking for people to go to Wisconsin, but you pay your own way and the whole freight yourself. But you could sign up online on Mass Dems.
Are you talking about as a volunteer,
Yeah,
not as a delegate?
as a volunteer, yeah. If you wanna be a delegate, if you can round up 300 people in a bunch of buses like Morrissey does, you can get elected.
Are you going?
No, God, I wouldn't go near that one, no.
Might
Been
be
to
an
two.
interesting one.
Any candidates or anybody else have any?
Honestly, we're just
any
getting,
events?
we're still getting organized, so tedphillips.org, 1L in Phillips. Please sign up on our website and get involved. We're going to be kicking off next month at the town spa, so we'll make sure that Michael gets the invitation and gets to send it out to the committee.
And andrewflowers.com. I just quit my job on Wednesday, so you'll be seeing a lot of me in the district and in Stoughton. But we'll have a kickoff probably mid-March. But andrewflowers.com.
PatrickMcDermott.org, if anybody's interested in hopping on the sheriff's race.
Pat or Patrick?
PatrickMcDermott.org, yes.
JaredRose.com. Jared with 2 R's. We will have a lot of volunteer opportunities. I know all of you, and I fully intend to bug you all and to come to them. And some of them including on Super Tuesday, we're planning a couple things. And I currently have a public posting for my new campaign manager. If anyone knows somebody who's looking for actual campaign work, send them my way. And we will be kicking ass and taking names. Let's go.
Any other new business?
I'm still working on mine, but in
sorry.
February, it should be all public. And I'll be happy to share with you all as well.
You come back and talk to us again. All of you, you're welcome to meet with anybody after any meetings, and we will, of course, be seeing and hearing from other candidates and their surrogates over the next few months in regard to some of the other races. It's going to be such a fun year.
I think we should thank Mike and Alicia for taking this on.
Yeah, before we close, I just want to say thank you to everybody that stepped up over the last few months. It was pretty seamless considering how much responsibility John himself has always shouldered. And I thank Jean and Don, and especially Donna and Robin for a lot of behind the scenes organizing in terms of our sometimes messy communications, et cetera, which I think are on much firmer ground and are only going to get better. Thank you all for your vote of confidence. I've been here for about 10 years now, which for a young man like myself feels like a pretty good chunk of my time, but I realized I was doing some math the other night, and I realized there's probably close to 1,000 years worth of experience in the committee as a whole. That's a lot. And I really want to continue to hear from all of you who have a lot more experience than I do, and even Alicia, who may in fact even be younger than me. I think we'll pretty much be staying the course, building on what we've done, and I just want to say that I really feel that our predecessor, really set a high standard when it came to graciousness and civility. John was just the perfect gentleman. He's perfect for this job. I still miss him, and I'll certainly do my best to try to live up to that standard. So thank you again for your support.
I do apologize, I forgot to mention, I do have a radio station called, not a radio station, but a radio show that's called Voice of Reason Boston. It caters to the city of Boston and greater Boston area, where I promote advocacy resources for organizational leaders and people who are doing things in their community to spread awareness. So if you would like to check out the station, I am on Facebook as well. I invite all different people to come on the show and talk about what they're doing to make a positive and effective change in their community. So it's WEZE 590 AM, which is aired on Saturdays at 11 AM. I actually had to do a pre-recording in order to attend this today, so
Okay.
that's why I'm here.
Thanks, Alicia.
Well, thank you.
Alicia, anything you want to add before we?
I just also want to say thank you, and I thank you for the vote of confidence in, I know that I'm newer to the group, but I'm very enthusiastic about what we can accomplish this year and what you guys have accomplished, and thank you.
I just wanted to thank Lester for many years of service as treasurer. And done very diligently, and I wanted to wish our new treasurer well, and thank you for stepping up to this position.
Thank you.
And Sandy too, Sandy did a lot of that.
That's right, she did, she did.
Everyone sign in?
No, I didn't.
No, I
did not sign in.
If there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See you on March, I'm sorry, no, I
February
won't, we'll
29th.
see you on February
29.
29th. It's an easy date to remember, right?